Are you struggling to debug your JavaScript files using a Chrome extension? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into how to effectively control the debugger with Chrome extensions. I totally get it. Debugging can be a real headache, especially when you're dealing with massive files that seem to take forever to load. It's frustrating when you just want to set a breakpoint and get to work. Here's the situation. One user asked how to add a breakpoint inside a JavaScript file loaded from a website using a Chrome extension. They mentioned that the file is over 150,000 lines long, making it a daunting task. Sound familiar? Let's tackle this together. So, what's the challenge here? The user is trying to implement methods from the Chrome extension documentation, but is struggling to find examples. This is a common issue when working with large files and complex debugging. Stay tuned. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to set breakpoints effectively, and I promise you'll feel like a debugging pro. To begin debugging the JavaScript file using a Chrome extension, the user should first ensure that the Chrome Debugger API is properly set up in their extension's manifest file. Next, the user needs to implement the function that will enable the debugger. This function will be triggered when the user wants to start debugging. After enabling the debugger, the user should set a breakpoint in the JavaScript file. This can be done using the debugger.setBreakpointByURL command. Once the breakpoint is set, the user can listen for the debugger.paused event. This event will trigger when the breakpoint is hit, allowing the user to inspect variables and change values. Finally, the user should test the extension to ensure that the breakpoints are working as expected. They can do this by triggering the action that leads to the breakpoint. Fun fact, did you know that the first JavaScript debugger was created in 1996? It's come a long way since then, but debugging can still feel like a puzzle sometimes. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggests checking your breakpoint location. Instead of using the formatted source, try working with the original source and include the column number in your command. To implement this, install the recommended extension, open the demo link, and follow these steps. Click the Debugger Pause button, then click Debug Me to hit the breakpoint at line 10. After that, click the Continue button to see the variable change. The provided code sets up the debugger, attaches to the tab, and manages breakpoints and variable changes effectively. This can help you debug large JavaScript files more efficiently. That wraps up that answer. Let's move on to another one. An alternative approach suggests a simple method for setting breakpoints directly in Chrome. You can click on the line number in the Sources panel of DevTools to add a breakpoint. Once you've set your breakpoints, refresh the page. Chrome will remember where you placed them and will stop at those points during execution. Let's take a look at an answer from another user. An alternative approach suggested by another user is to use the debugger statement directly in your source code. This method allows you to set a breakpoint that will trigger when the Chrome developer tools are open. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative approach provided by another user is to use a simple function to trigger the debugger. They suggest creating a function called breakHere that contains the debugger statement. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. An alternative approach involves using the debugger.enable command. First, you need to attach the debugger to the tab and enable it. Then you can set breakpoints with the onEvent function. The user also suggests checking the sniffing section of the DevTools protocol documentation to understand the JSON responses. This can help you build a more functional extension. Lastly, consider adding a DOM element to list scripts from network.getResponseBody, allowing users to select scripts for debugging. Here's a pro tip. Always test your breakpoints in a smaller controlled environment before applying them to larger files. This can save you a lot of time and frustration. And there you have it. You should now be able to set breakpoints in your JavaScript files using a Chrome extension. Remember, practice makes perfect. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks.